Straight from the ATL. Our next guest is the owner of D Maestro Music Group, LLC. And Lord have mercy, this man can sing. He's an internationally acclaimed singer, songwriter, producer, who goes by the name D Maestro. Hey TJ, I know I've said this to you before, but this brother can blow.
This is what love feels like. Holding hands like the first grade. It's funny how you put the smile on my face. You caught me off guard. I never meant to fall this hard. Hey, you're my sun on the rainy days. Umbrella when I need a little shade. Wherever you are, you're playing your part. And I know that I can count on you to do just what you say you'll do. Loving me through all my wrongs, still the whole time standing strong. You're the one that's meant for me. You prove what's meant just has to be. So don't ever leave me.
There's one particular song that has me just, I can't stop, I can't sing, but it has me trying to sing it, and it just has me captivated. What Love Feels Like.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorites. That's from Got It All. That's one of my favorites.
How did you select the songs chosen for that particular project?
Well, the Got It All project was it was unexpected, you know, honestly, but that's how most of my music is, and What Love Feels Like is what actually kicked the project off. I'm a vocal coach and artist development coach as well, and so I was working with one of my students one day, one of my vocal clients, and I was going through some vocal warm-ups for them to do, and I just started playing the melody like that on the keyboard, and started playing it. I could just hear, this is what love feels like, and I started writing from there. So I wanted to do something new, something different. I had come through a hurdle, and please excuse the long answer, but I had come through a hurdle because a few months before that I had unexpectedly lost my mom, and so I stepped away from the music scene. I stepped away from music altogether for a little while because I kind of had to, you know, get my head together, which I don't know if that ever got
Understandably so. We're with you.
Yeah, so, but when that song happened like that, I was like, it's time to jump back. It's time to get back in it. I don't know, you know, I didn't know at the time, and I still don't know now if I was completely healed, and you know, in some people's eyes, but I felt like I at least had enough energy to move forward. So that's how the project came about.
And you have how many tracks on Got It All? 13 tracks. Okay. So to give a little bit more insight into your backstory, for those who have not read your bio, maybe they're new to your music, you've shared a stage with the likes of Kelly Price, Byron Cage, Escape, John P. Key, and you've toured with like hitters like Destiny's Child, Missy Elliott, Mary. How do you merge what you enjoy doing and make it custom fit for those circles? Because when I listen to you, I hear jazz, I hear R&B, I hear reggae, I hear gospel, but you can sing with anybody.
Well, I would say to anybody to always remain true to who you are as an artist. And honestly, who I am as an artist is kind of a culmination of all those things. You know, I grew up in a home where my mom was a minister, so with her, if the song didn't say Jesus, you know, it wasn't allowed to be played or heard in her house. I had to kind of sneak away, steal away to learn R&B music because I loved it. Like I loved the songs that I heard, and I knew what I was feeling when I was writing, but I couldn't share it with her. So the church upbringing was always there, but I've been a lover of all music. I was in the the jazz band at high school, the marching band. I would say if I did any comparisons, I would be the male version of Fantasia.
Oh, praise God.
That's what.
I love Fantasia.
Yeah. She just happens to be one of my favorite, artists in the game. And just because I can feel her soul when she's singing, and that's what I try to give people live. You can't do it as much on recordings because any producers will tell you to, they make you hold back a little bit. Like, don't give it all to them. Hold back, because they want it to fit a certain sound for radio, a certain sound for recordings. But then you go live, and I try not to be too far from it, but that's what it was in those circles. And a lot of those different names were a part of some of the same tours. I toured mainly with Kelly Price. I actually used to be signed to her as an artist. And although that situation didn't completely work out, I'm grateful that the tour, it opened doors. It put me in a position where I could be on a stage, on a BET show, albeit with Kelly, but on the same show with Mary and Destiny's Child, or be at Madison Square Garden where Justin and NSYNC and Missy and Lil Kim and all of them were. So, a lot of things came from that situation. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to, but a lot of other situations came from that. So, I'm forever grateful.
Through it all, you have remained humble. We hear it in your music, with your Wednesday devotionals that you do, and don't think we're not paying attention. We're watching. We're watching. It's so anointed. It's so custom to you. It's so much of, when we watch you, we see that you live what you sing. That's
right.
Apparent. You're comfortable in your lane. How do you resist the temptation to follow those trends?
Well, to be perfectly candid and transparent with you, I don't always resist the temptation. Even on my latest project, Got It All, the one that What Love Feels Like is on, there's a song on there called If I, and it's kind of an up-tempo hip-hop track where I'm kind of singing to the same cadence that's, and that sound that you're talking about now. And I do it in an effort, you always want to stay relevant. But what I won't do is, although I may feature a song with that sound on it, my project is going to remain true to who I am, because what I don't want to do is tick off my base, because you always want to expand, but you don't want to lose, people in your base. And I want them to always be in love with the DeMaestro that they first fell in love with.
No, because we hear some good R&B. Okay, now he's
right.
rapping. Okay, and some
Right.
some artists, they get lost in that because they're trying to follow that trend instead of navigating their path. They're on somebody else's journey, and it just doesn't fit. And like you
Right.
say, you don't remain true to your core audience. Our ear is bent to a particular sound, and you're true to that, and we're grateful for it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
You've traveled the world with your music, with your gift. When you think about starting over again, if there was something that you could change, what would it be?
Wow. That's a great question. And I take pause because you always want to reflect and see what you could have done. I don't necessarily say what I could have done different, but what could I have done better? Mm-hmm. And so there are some things that if I could do it all over again, that maybe I should do better. What they are at this time, I'm not exactly sure. The industry has changed, and that has helped us. Then even back, a few years ago when I was with Kelly, we have a lot more access to things now. Like you guys, even being able to find me on the internet or social media, however you guys found me, and now I'm on here doing this incredible interview with you all. That wasn't the case, a few years ago. It wasn't as open. So if there was something I could change or do better, I would better research what opportunities were open, so that in the midst of me traveling and trying to do all these things, I could have still furthered my base even at that time, so that it could be even bigger now. I think you can always study the game, and there's always room to improve. And so, my music production would have even been better, because you grow as a producer. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know that most of the stuff that they hear is stuff that I actually wrote, stuff that I produced. But there are other producers out there that are even better, and I always invite them in to help me on my projects, because I want my base to get the absolute best that I have to offer. And if that means that I don't produce this particular track so that it's a better overall project, then that's what happens. I have no problem with that. But that's what I would do. To answer your question, I would do more research, dig a little deeper to find out what I could have done to expand or grow the base. Even now, that's what I'm doing now, trying to figure out what else can I do? Because there's always room for improvement. I don't care who you are and what you've accomplished. And I tell people that, even the ones that come to me for artist development, most of the girls that I work with that come, their idol is always Beyonce. But when you tell them that she rehearsed for 6 months straight for Coachella, then they're lost. And I'm saying, well, if she's doing that kind of rehearsing, I know that was a long answer. I'm sorry.
Well, you actually answered my next question, or part of my next question. In hindsight, when you look back at your career and you think about what you've done, choices you've made, decisions that you either wanted to make or maybe you were forced to make, and you are where you are now. If you could go back, those are the things that you would change. Someone who has not even cut their first demo, they want to be where you are, what would you tell them?
You've got to first, and I'm glad you asked that, because I encounter this a lot. There are a lot of people that come to me for artist development and for vocal coaching because they see where I am. But what amazes me about a lot of people is they don't want to spend one dime on themselves.
Say that again. That part. Say it again.
Yeah, like
my goodness.
One dime. Now you read all the stories of how the artists, back in the day were selling all these records and not making a penny and were still broke and da da da. So my goal was always to take that power from whatever situation I was in. I was never going to a label or any situation completely broke in their eyes. I went with songs already recorded. Why? Because I paid for studio time. Because I sat and I had to do internships in studio so that I could use their studio. So it was like being on an 8-hour job. I just wasn't getting paid. But it was a sacrifice that I was willing to make so I could learn the skills of recording, which is why when people read my album credits, they see, all of these albums were recorded at 512 Recordings. Yes, because I invested in the equipment, I invested in the time to learn, I invested in myself, and then I brought in other engineers and other producers or whatever to make it better. So people that are looking for something for nothing, I just tell them to pack a lunch, because you're going to be looking for that for a long time.
Well said. I think just to add to what you just perfectly demonstrated, is common, and unfortunately it's common for new artists because they don't understand there's two sides to this thing. Just like there's two sides to a coin. You have the show side and you have the business side. And because we're in such an instant society, you just push a button, everything's easy, or it appears easy. They sometimes don't understand work is involved. You have to invest in your craft.
Right. And if I can just tag on that a little bit, it's a slogan that I have that one of my sisters helped me come up with for myself. And I tell people all the time, this is a DeMaestro exclusive right here for all of the up and coming artists. The dream is free, but the hustle is sold separately.
Ooh, I like that. Say it again.
The dream is free, but the hustle is sold separately. Right.
So give us a sneak peek. We want to know. We're nosy. What are you working on right now?
So right now I am currently writing and producing a gospel project for my home church, First St. Paul. AME Church in Lithonia. That's what I'm currently working on, and that's coming out really good. People have been looking for a Maestro gospel project, and I don't know if that per se is going to happen, but I'm featured on these songs. I'm writing them and producing them, so that's coming along great. But I do have a couple of the irons in the fire. I've got some new producers on my team, so we are working on some new Maestro music. And not only that, I'm working on putting together an ATL compilation Christmas project for not just me, but a lot of the other indie artists in the ATL, getting us to come together for a common goal on a project that we can all put out and be well represented in. So we got a few irons in the fire right now.
I love that. Congratulations on that project. I know it will do well.
Thank you.
We're in the car. We're cruising down the highway with Maestro. Who are we listening to?
You're definitely gonna hear some Fantasia. You're gonna hear some Joe. You're gonna hear some Faith Evans. You're gonna hear some Babyface. You're gonna hear some Summer Walker. You're gonna hear some Maroon 5. You're gonna hear
very eclectic. I like that. Now you got some bangers in there too. I know you do.
Yeah, you're definitely going to get some Drake.
All right.
You know, you're gonna get some Lil Wayne. You're gonna get some of my homeboys. Silk. And I go through, like I told you, several. You know, I go through several genres of music, even when I'm riding. So, you're gonna even get some Ella May.
All right.
You know, yeah, you're gonna get some of the new Justin Bieber.
Justin. I've listened to some Justin.
I like it.
I like him in small doses, but he's all right.
You'll get some Adele. You'll definitely get some Adele. And as you can see, this must be a long ride.
It's a ride from ATL to the Bay, man.
Hey, well then we got plenty of time for great music, right?
I know it.
And I'm definitely going to sneak some John P. Key in there. He is one of my favorites of all time.
The master.
He's an incredible guy.
We are so not worthy of his music. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was here in Atlanta a little while back, and it was so amazing to me because some friends invited me out to see him because they knew that I was a huge fan. Mm-hmm. But he didn't know me from anybody. I just happened to know some people, so I was able to get backstage. And he was out on stage. He was doing show up, so that'll put you in the mind of how far back it was.
Right.
But John, for whatever reason, looked over to the side of the stage, and he pointed at me and said, "Come here." And he gave me the mic, and I was able to sing "Show Up" with John P. Key. One of the highlights of my career. I never told him I sung. I introduced myself. I just said hello. You know, he was backstage or whatever. I try not to be, what do they call it? When you meet an artist and you get stuck, can't talk and all that kind of stuff.
You don't want to be all starstruck and fanning out. Yeah.
Right. So I was cooling. You know, I was chilling. I had my Maestro swag on and I'm just cooling. But on the inside, I was starstruck because he's one of my favorites of all time. But he brought me out and allowed me to sing on that stage with him, and I'm always conscious and courteous, just like I was when Kelly would have me sing with her. I don't wear out my welcome. You know, they invite you to sing, you give the people a little bit, and you go on and walk away, because the people came to see John, or they came to see Kelly, or they came to see Joe. Like, you know, it ain't for me to try to take over. So I did a little bit, enough for them to say thank you, and went on about my business. But it was a highlight of my career.
That is a great story to share. And I know you're being humble, but if I may say, I know the power just from what I've witnessed in your voice. When he gave you that microphone, you ripped those people's floor up and tossed that microphone right back at them.
You said that. I did.
I know. My words, not yours. Right?
Right.
You are so incredibly busy. Your talent puts you in popular demand.
Yeah.
So you're working on a gospel album. I know Got It All is doing extremely well, but we can't help but want more. What do you want to do that you haven't done?
I've yet to, and I hope this doesn't sound vain or anything, but I've yet to be recognized, honestly, on the world stage. And I'm 6 albums in, even if there was a category for independent artist of the year, or album of the year, Grammy or Soul Train or something, like I still want as many people in the world. I'm grateful because my music is here. It's in the UK. It sells well in Japan. I've toured in the UK, but not Japan. But I want to be on one of those shows. I want to perform on one of those television shows. I want to give my acceptance speech for a song or for an album or for a collaboration or something. I feel like, and I hope it doesn't sound arrogant, but I feel like I deserve it and I want it. And I don't know if that sounds shallow, but that's what I want. And I don't know if it'll come from a new project or from one of these, but I want it. Like I want to be able to share the stage with Fantasia or C.E.O. or God, Patty.
What's for you,
right,
will come. Sometimes there is a compromise that when you have standards, you just don't bow to.
Right.
And
you're right.
In some instances, in most instances, when you've put in the work, you've shown that you have the goods, you have the voice, you definitely have the gift. You're anointed to do what you do, but it's just not coming. It could be because you're not willing to do some things that others are willing to do. So in that regard, we applaud you.
You're right, and I appreciate that.
You're living your dream. You're honoring your gift. And if we may be so forward to impose, if you could take us out as we close with a verse of your personal favorite song, we'd be grateful.
This will go out to anybody, whatever your dream may be. Hopefully this song will minister to you as well. Yes, it's gospel, but that was the question asked, and so it does minister to me. Let me see. Many things about tomorrow I don't seem to understand, but I know who holds tomorrow, and I know who holds my hand.
You took me back to the old church with that, and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
That's some back porch soul. That's your grandmama's remedy. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. It was a little raspy. Y'all forgive me if all of those weren't correct, but
you are the man. As Ty said, he's a bad boy.
wow.
Thank you so very, very much for your time. If we have anyone who wants to connect with you, if they want to collaborate with you, if they want to take lessons, or maybe they're interested in artist development, what's the best way for them to get in contact with D Maestro?
Honestly, just there are a few ways. Through the website, which is of course www.dmaestro512.com. That's kind of where everything is, even information for booking, my videos, my music, all of that stuff is available there. My social media is DMaestro512. That's my Twitter and my Instagram. Facebook is just DMaestro or DMaestro LOB. And then there's they can always contact the business number, which is 404-939-0438. And I can be emailed at DMaestro512@gmail.
Thank you for that information, and thank you for your time. Your recent album, Got It All, is appropriately titled because you definitely got it all.
This is what love feels like. This is what love feels like.